Look around you, the walls around you, the light above your head, the air moving in and out of your lungs. Right now, all of it feels normal, permanent, as if the world has always looked like this. But it hasn't. Go back far enough, and the exact spot where you're sitting right now becomes a place that could kill you in seconds. There would be no air to breathe. The ground could be an ocean of molten rock, and the sky would glow orange like the inside of a furnace. Because for more than 99% of Earth's history, there was no human being here. Not you, not your ancestors, not even anything remotely recognizable as us. Earth existed perfectly well without humanity for roughly 4.5 billion years, and during almost all of that time, something else was running the planet. But here's the strange part. Your brain can't really understand what 4.5 billion years means. So let's make it smaller. Imagine the entire history of Earth as a stadium completely filled with popcorn, billions of pieces. Now take all of human history and reduce it to just one tiny kernel near the top. That's how recent we are. We aren't the main story of Earth, we're barely the last page. So what would happen if you could actually step outside and visit Earth as it existed 4.5 billion years ago? The answer is simple. You'd die. The planet was still a violent, molten world. Its surface was covered by enormous oceans of lava. The atmosphere was nothing like the air you're breathing now, and there wasn't even a moon in the sky. It hadn't formed yet. Then something enormous happened. A planet-sized object, roughly comparable in size to Mars, collided with the young Earth. Scientists call this object Theia. The impact was so powerful that enormous amounts of debris were blasted into orbit. Over time, that debris came together and eventually became the Moon. The collision also contributed to Earth's axial tilt. That tilt is one of the reasons our planet experiences seasons. Think about how fragile this whole story is. Change one major event, and the world that eventually produced us could have looked completely different. But Earth kept going. The lava eventually cooled. Oceans formed, and then life appeared. But don't imagine forests, don't imagine animals, don't imagine anything with eyes. For an incredibly long time, life was microscopic. Single-celled organisms dominated the planet, invisible to the naked eye, tiny organisms running an entire world. And don't mistake tiny for unimportant. These microorganisms existed for longer than every dinosaur, every mammal, and every human civilization combined. Then something happened that completely transformed the planet. Some microorganisms developed the ability to use sunlight for energy, photosynthesis, and one of its major byproducts was something we now consider essential for life, oxygen. But back then, oxygen was dangerous. For many organisms living on early Earth, it was essentially a poison. As oxygen accumulated in the atmosphere, enormous amounts of existing life were wiped out. This transformation is known as the Great Oxidation Event. And the irony is incredible. The gas that would eventually allow complex life to flourish was once responsible for destroying huge amounts of existing life. But oxygen changed something else, too. It altered Earth's atmosphere and contributed to major climate changes. At one point, the planet may have entered an extreme global ice age. Earth became a frozen world, and yet, life survived under the ice in hidden environments. For hundreds of millions of years, microscopic life continued. Then a little more than 500 million years ago, something dramatic happened. The Cambrian explosion. Life suddenly became larger, more complex, and far stranger. For the first time, oceans filled with creatures that were large enough to see. Plants eventually began spreading onto land. They helped create the first soils. Fish began exploring shallow environments. Some descendants eventually developed limbs, and animals began moving onto land. Then came forests, huge forests. Swamps stretched across enormous areas, and the plants that lived in those ancient forests would eventually become part of the coal deposits humans would mine millions of years later, after billions of years of fire ice, poison, and extinction. Earth was finally becoming green, worm-alive, but the story was nowhere near finished. Because Earth was about to try something even more extreme. Go back around 260 million years. There are no humans. There are no modern cities. And there aren't even dinosaurs yet. The world belongs to creatures that would look almost alien to us. Among them were predators called gorgonopsids. Some had enormous saber-like teeth. One of the largest, Anostrensvia, was a powerful predator with curved fangs built for tearing through flesh. Imagine walking across that ancient landscape. You wouldn't be worried about traffic. You wouldn't be worried about bills. You'd be worried about becoming food. And strangely, the water could have been safer. Then came one of the worst disasters in Earth's history. Around 252 million years ago, enormous volcanic activity began in what is now Siberia. Lava poured across a massive region, and the eruptions continued for an extraordinarily long time. Huge amounts of greenhouse gases entered the atmosphere. The planet heated dramatically, the oceans warmed, oxygen levels in the seas collapsed. And eventually, Earth experienced its greatest mass extinction. This event is often called the Great Dying. The majority of Earth's species disappeared. Life came terrifyingly close to being erased. But once again, it survived, and then something unexpected helped reshape the planet. Rain around 234 million years ago, Earth's climate shifted into a period of intense rainfall that lasted for roughly 2 million years. A world that had been hot and dry became dramatically wetter. And during this transformation, a group of animals that had once been relatively minor players began to rise. Dinosaurs. At the beginning of this period, dinosaurs represented only a small portion of land animals, but by the end, they had become dominant, and they would remain dominant for more than 150 million years. Then came the event almost everyone knows. 66 million years ago, a massive asteroid struck Earth, roughly 10 kilometers across. The impact threw enormous amounts of material into the atmosphere. Sunlight was dramatically reduced, plants died, herbivores lost their food, and predators lost their prey. The great dinosaurs had dominated the planet for millions of years. But they couldn't survive what came next. The giants disappeared, but something much smaller survived: small furry mammals, animals that could hide, burrow, and eat a wide variety of food. Those survivors were mammals, your ancestors. And here's where the story gets almost impossible to comprehend. If that asteroid had missed Earth, the dinosaurs might have continued dominating the planet, and those small mammals might have remained small, hidden creatures. Humanity may never have existed. That asteroid didn't just destroy a world, it opened a door that eventually led to us. But even after that, our story wasn't guaranteed. Around 300,000 years ago, Homo sapiens appeared. But we weren't alone. Several other human species existed at roughly the same time. Other kinds of humans, real humans, sharing the planet with us. Some had existed long before our species appeared. Today, they're gone, and we are the only human species left. So look around your room one more time. Look at the walls, look at the light, take a breath. The air entering your lungs is the result of an unimaginably long chain of events. Ancient microbes, oxygen, ice ages, mass extinctions, volcanoes, dinosaurs, an asteroid, mammals, and countless generations of survivors. Remove just one major event, and this exact moment might never have happened. You might never have existed. The Earth wasn't waiting for humans to arrive. It wasn't a stage built for us. For 4.5 billion years, this planet simply kept changing. Lava, microbes, monsters, forests, ice extinction, recovery, and an incredible amount of luck. We are new here, almost impossibly new. And perhaps the strangest part of the entire story is this: you were never the point. You are simply what happened to be left standing when the dust finally settled.